one of the things I wanted to ask you about is if you're a subscriber to this sort of 10,000 hours rule of Gladwell, and and where you can get it. If you listen to Quentin Tarantino, for example, he was such an early lover of film, and that's how I think he developed a lot of his way of, he just had many influences, and, and that sort of those counted as some of the hours, I think, for him in developing his craft. I know you're also a cinematographer at the BBC. What are your thoughts on sort of the 10,000 hour thing and your early love of viewing the film as opposed to just working on them as well?
I really was surprised that I was going to make a decision to be a filmmaker as a result of seeing my dad. It took me a long time to even find the clutch and to put it into gear to make it happen. And Hampshire really permitted that. But I'd seen hundreds, if not thousands, of films. I'd kept 3x5 cards and I'd write about them. And it might be Luis Buñuel and surrealism, and it might be Akira Kurosawa, or it might be City Lights by Charlie Chaplin, or The General by Buster Keaton, or it might be new American stuff that was happening. Big, British things like Bridge Over the River Kwai and Dr. Zhivago by David Lean.
I mean, the audience right now is scribbling furiously. All these titles, I got to go watch this.
Also,
list
and
of 50
they're all worth it. And some of them were just stuff you grew up with. Like on the 4:30 movie when you got home from school, there's a movie before dinner, and you'd watch it and be, mostly B movies, but some great stuff. We always watched It's a Wonderful Life in our family. I always still think the American dialectic is choosing between Pottersville or Bedford Falls.
Totally, that's right.
It's just, and I say that
we watch that one every year too.
Every campaign, because it's just one of the more perfect movies. I had the great privilege of meeting Jimmy Stewart. He said it was his favorite film, and it was
not a big hit when it first came out.
And not a big hit, and it was Frank Capra's, like Citizen Kane was not a big hit. Frank Capra's favorite movie as well, the director. And if you think about it, you step back and you go, what is this about? It's a very long film. It's 2.5 hours long. And it's about a guy, the hero, who wants to commit suicide.
Right.
And this is like the most enduring Christmas thing. And it comes down to who am I? What am I worth? What do I mean to other people? How is it that we build community? I mean, these are all essential things that are
you can
still
tell
operating now.
Different kinds of people. People are fall into one of two groups. Some people are depressed by it. I know lots of people don't like that movie because it makes them sad. Others are totally inspired by it.
Totally. You have to be totally inspired by it. I mean, just think. He makes a choice at some point to live in Bedford Falls, not to die in Pottersville. Right? Mm-hmm. This is the thing. And Pottersville is all acquisitive. There's nothing transformational. Bedford Falls is all about community, about welcoming new people, immigrants. Mm-hmm. That's not what Pottersville about. It's all about the almighty dollar. It's all transactional. Mm-hmm. Whereas Pottersville is about providing a circumstance for transformation. I'm describing my work. I'm describing the work of so many people that I admire. And it's like the Christmas film that,
we watch it every year, and now with flexibility, we pick the night. And in the old days, we were dictated by the TV guide, which is no longer a thing. That movie more than any really does remind me of the TV guide, because we'd get it and figure out where it was going to be,
where it's going to play,
which night are we going to be watching it.
And remember that there are always commercials, and so you're committing to 3+ hours because of the length of the film and the complicated narrative. And Donna Reed is amazing. All the other, stock characters are fantastic in it, and it's Jimmy Stewart's favorite role. And this is a guy who's a major, movie star who's got lots of unbelievable credits. You could easily pick 5 or 6 other films. Vertigo, is one of the great Alfred, if not the greatest Alfred Hitchcock film. So,
That is, I didn't realize that about him, that he had said that was the one.
He said it was his favorite.
It's definitely the one I've seen the most of his, but and I've seen a lot.
Harvey, he's got the pet rabbit, Elwood P. Dow. That's his film, and he puts it together in a way that I can't imagine, with the exception of maybe Tom Hanks, somebody who could carry as many different romantic, action, funny, comedy, all sorts of stuff, and do it with this aplomb that makes you never second guess that of course he'd be. Of course, there's an invisible.
I remember growing up on Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks, and then you see him do every other kind of film out there. You know?
I've had the great privilege of having friendship with him for the last 20 plus years. I've used him as a voice off camera in many of our films, and he's been the difference. I'm working right now on a big series on the history of the American Revolution, and I told him, I can't make you George Washington as much as I want to. Is the toughest role to act, but every voice he read, 12 or 15 different voices, they're all in.
Yeah.
And there's you just can inhabit it, and you can say to yourself, that's Tom Hanks, but before you've even formed the thought, you're paying attention to the meaning of it, which is you didn't fall out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. At his stature.
At his stature. And the fact that he does this, Meryl Streep does this for us and reads, and we're not paying them, we're paying them the SAG minimum. And I always tease them, just don't spend this $414.39 all at once, save part of it.
Well, they do it because they love you and they admire the work.
I love them, and they're the best. And we don't do it because they're celebrities. We do it because they're really great
They're talented.
readers. Yeah. Morgan Freeman does this. It's so generous.
Oh my God. Best voice on the planet.
Best voice on the planet. Samuel L. Jackson. He is, I learned this recently, is that if you add up the box office of all his films, he's the best.
Samuel
L. Jackson.
Wow.
His movies are more than anybody else's.
Snakes on a Plane. That did deliver. I've quoted it many times, actually.